It just got to be from this end. Okay, now let's check and see if we see it. Oh, it looked like my internet looks shady. So it usually take a few minutes for people to
That's what
come.
happens.
Take a few minutes for people to come on, and then we'll get started. Because I don't think I even post that we were doing it at this time. Okay, during the broadcast. Okay, it looked like we should be
Yeah, I
live.
think it was just it'll happen.
We're doing it at this time. Okay, so it looks like we can see the comments in our chat. Do you see that? The Facebook comments will be here on the chat to the right. Do you see that? It say comments.
Oh, beautiful. That's great because that'll be a lot easier than trying to dupe it on a separate screen.
Okay, so let me.
So in our private chat, I'm going to post. Yeah, we can flip back.
Is it something that you don't want to post in the live chat? The
correct
preparedness.
So, well, it's I'm just for us for visual. I'm going to put the person.
Okay.
Initiated this conversation we're going to have today. That way we can see what that topic is.
Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and get started. So, hey, you guys, welcome to the channel. I'm so excited. We talked to you guys about doing podcast with Angela. And so the first topic that Angela thought was necessary for us to talk about was storm preparedness with everything that's going on here in Texas. And I don't know where it is. Is it everywhere? Angela, the storm with the
started. Yeah, so the one that we're having right now, like for us, it's coming up through past Houston, and then it's probably going to hit Louisiana more than anybody. Right. But there's disasters and storms that happen across the country. Give me 2 seconds. My dogs are going buck wild.
Wait. Okay, you guys. So Angela, our vet tech, you guys know who she is. She has been doing Phelps therapy. We have decided to start doing podcasts where we'll be talking to you guys about different issues that fur parents have with their babies. And in light of the current storms that we have going on, Angela thought it would be appropriate to have our first conversation about storm preparedness. So we'll be talking about how you can be prepared for the storm. And I think we're also going to tap on to how you can deal with your baby that may have anxiety in the storms. Are we touching on that in this call as well? Because I got a lot of ideas. But we're going to get Angela's professional opinion before I say anything. Okay, Angela, so go ahead and let the people know kind of what brought this on for you, why you felt like this should have been one of the first things we talked about in the podcast.
Well, a little bit of it is from the survey that we took from y'all. Bella's mom had posted a comment about what to do for storm comfort. And that kind of really struck a chord of not just providing storm comfort, but the hurricane that we all just experienced with Beryl coming in and causing a lot of issues, power outages, people leaving their homes and stuff. Between that and my prior experience doing fire stuff in California and helping people evacuate, and a lot of the 9 times out of 10, we're just not prepared for these things. And that's when things can get missed or pets can get displaced. We had hundreds of dogs that were displaced in California at the Chico shelter. Not just the Chico shelter, but we took the Chico airport and turned it into kind of like a ground zero base hub to get people reunited, provide emergency care and treatment to burn victims of pets, horses. We had the county state fairgrounds with tons and tons of animals there. So thinking about that and the question submission from Bella, hurricanes are a thing out here. We get storms all the time. We had the freeze and all of that. And I know with Beryl and stuff and being without power for a week, us personally, there were people that were going to hotels and stuff. And a lot of the times pets can't come in. We also, working in emergency medicine, had so many dogs coming in for heat stroke because there was no power. So big things is knowing what to do during these big catastrophic events that hit, and not just how we need to handle those as people, but how do we do this with our pets? So the biggest and most important thing, and I'll text it into the, I'm going to put it in the chat now, is there's a FEMA.gov link that I'm going to post, and it's a hurricane preparedness. I Actually, I don't know how. I'll probably have to have you post it. So I'll put it in the private chat and then you can post
Okay.
it. But it comes directly from FEMA. It's 10 items you need for your pets for hurricanes. So I always recommend people have what's called a go bag, not just for you, but for also your pets. So we have go bags for our basic necessities, change of clothes, medications, documents. You should have the same thing for your pets. That way, if you need to leave with a moment's notice, you have everything you need right then and there. Anything from
So
food,
what is,
water.
you said a go bag. Hold on. Let me, because I personally don't have a freaking go bag. So a go bag would be a bag that is for an animal of the basic necessities they need. That would include,
Correct.
of course, food, but you said medicine. That would include if your pet is on any kind of medication.
Yeah, so having at least a few days worth of food in there. Water maybe might be helpful, but that can get kind of heavy. So you need it to be something that you can quickly grab and go.
And carry if you're swimming out.
Exactly.
So should it be waterproof? Like, should it be a cooler? Like, do you have any kind of
like a duffel bag, something that's quick and easy, because you can waterproof the contents inside of it. So the bag in itself doesn't have to be waterproof, but having a few days worth of little individual meal-sized bags of food in there,
like Ziploc bags of food.
Ziploc bags of food, not a whole bag that you buy from the store, because again, it's got to be something quick and efficient. The other thing being copies of the medical records. Now, these days we live in a digital age, so you don't have to have a printed copy of your records. But what would be helpful is when these storms arise, if your veterinarian doesn't have an app that you can get their records access to for their vaccines, being the most important thing, vaccines. Before the storm hits, call your primary vet, ask them to send you a digital copy of your most recent vaccine history. The reason
and a lot of times they do have an app, we just don't know about it because our vet has an app and it shows it all there on the screen.
Yeah, so talking to your vet, making sure if they don't have an app, getting those copies of those recent records. And the most important part of that is if you get displaced and your pet ends up having to go to boarding or in a temporary shelter facility, they need those copies of records. If not, they're going to say no probably, because they have to think about the safety of every other pet coming through there. Other big things are going to be medications. Maybe have a small backup emergency stash of their medications. That way, if Fluffy's on 4 different heart meds, you're not going to necessarily have the thought process of, I need to grab Fluffy, but I also need to grab all of his heart medications. You're going to be quickly just grabbing your animal and trying to go. So if you've got a small little backstock of those meds, then you're set for success. They're already in that bag. Just maintain expiration dates, obviously, on it. Other things would be any important documents that you maybe have for your pet. Again, that can all be digital stuff. The other most important thing is identification for your pet. And while collars with tags are important because it's got your contact number in it, I can't tell you how many times my dog has taken his tag off of his collar, and he's a runner. He will clear a 6-foot fence, no problem, in his heyday. But identification for your pet is huge. So trying to keep it.
So what does that look like when you say identification, like a driver's license? What exactly does that look like?
Yeah, something as simple as microchipping, to be completely honest. Because they can't lose a microchip. They can lose a collar, they can lose a harness, they can lose a tag with your name and phone number on it. So not only making sure your pet's microchipped, making sure that information is registered first and foremost. 9 times out of 10, they're not registered. So they're a blank chip with no information. Now, there are workarounds to finding the owner, but it's a long, long, hefty process. So making sure that the microchip is not only registered, but it's with the most current information on there, that you have an emergency contact on there. There have been so many pets that I've worked with throughout my 15 years in veterinary medicine that have come in as displaced animals, either because they've lost, gotten out, there's been a disaster. And the ones that we find with microchips, 50% of them are not updated microchips. So then they end up going into the shelter, waiting to see if their family will find them. The other ones that aren't microchipped are more often not the hardest ones to rehome or to find their home, because you're relying on the goodness of people to figure out where their pets are and be looking for them. So making sure you've got that information update as well. If you don't know what your pet's microchip information is and you don't have their number, call your vet. They should have it on file. If they don't have it on file, just swing by the office. It's a quick scan with a universal scanner to see if there's a microchip, get you the number, get you the company of who you need to get that registered for, and get it updated. So that should be anytime you move, anytime you change your cell phone number, get a new email address, go in, make sure that information's uploaded. I have a personal contact on my phone for each of my pets. The information for their microchip plus their microchip numbers on there. So if my dog gets out,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I use the crap out of my phone. My phone has so much stuff on there with my animals. It's crazy.
Did you guys get that? Like, that was some important information we can't go past. I think everybody should know that. She said in her phone, she has a personal contact for each of her animals. So it has their microchip number and the vet contact information, all of that about, I guess, whatever you could put in there about your baby. It's always in your phone. I would even put a picture of one of my children in there so they know which pet it go to. That was a great nugget, Angela. I wish I would have had known that prior, but I'm gonna be doing that today.
Yeah.
And you can group together certain babies. So I probably would have my group as the rescue and then my personal babies. But you can have your group as my animals, or if you have other animals, cats and stuff like that, you would also want to have them saved in there with their microchip numbers and photos. Okay.
Excuse me. Other important things to probably put in your go bag would be something for like a familiar item to your pet, because this is a stressful situation for them and for you. So either like putting one of their favorite toys in there, or a toy that they've played with in the past that they maybe don't play with so much anymore. Something that's familiar to them that's also going to be engaging and an enrichment item. A blanket, maybe have a small bed for them. Again, we don't want to overpack this bag because it needs to be realistically functional and something quick that if you've got a moment's notice, you can get going and get out of there. So little things that are going to be helpful, beneficial. The one thing I cannot stress enough that 9 times out of 10, everybody forgets: food bowls. Food bowls, water bowls. You can buy collapsible bowls on Amazon. That way, all you got to do, it's not going to take up a ton of space. It's not a big, heavy metal bowl, but something that you can quickly collapse and uncollapse, that you can fill up with their food, fill up with their water. Good. There's so many different options for these collapsible bowls, ones that come in a little kit that it unzips and it lays flat. They pop up, you fill them up, you pull them down, and it closes back up. Or just the regular ones that collapse on themselves that have a keychain that you can connect to something.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good information. So in the bag, we need to have, let's just kind of go over again. In the bag, we need to have, or in our phone, we need to have our vet records or files, vaccine records. They need to have any type of medications or requirements. I would say slip some oils in there for calming them down if you're one of my people. They need to have a bowl. They need to have food in Ziploc bags, kind of sized out in the bowls. What else did we miss? Oh, microchip. Make sure they're microchipped and have some type of identification, and that you have that information saved in your phone. So, did we miss anything on that? That was some good shit, Angela.
Yeah, I would say even go as far as having an updated photo in your phone of your pet, because the photo of them at 2-3 weeks, like when they're a puppy, 2-3 months old, they're not going to always look the same when they're older. Because a lot of the times when we come with people bringing pets in, and we want to make sure that it's the right owner, that we're not just giving that dog away to anybody, especially if they're not microchipped. Having a current photo of your pet, so updating that contact that you're going to make of your pet's info, put that as their photo, so that way when you come, like heaven forbid it happens, and you need to prove that animal's yours, you've got a current photo on there. That, or just make sure you're blasting your babies on Facebook, because you'll always have memories of that.
That's true too. Always take pictures of your babies. Okay, so the preparedness to have our, what's the bag called again? I'm so sorry.
A go bag.
A go bag. Okay. Go bag. Gotta go. Okay, so the go bag is one of the major things you need to be prepared. Can have for the storm preparedness. What else will we need to do to make sure our babies are ready for a storm? I remember you talked about creating in the pre-conversation to this.
Yeah, so that actually kind of touches on Angie about Cosby's question. How do I handle a nervous dog during storms? Thunder chooser joke. Some pets, they just don't do well with storms, regardless of the like whether we go pharmaceutical route or we go traditional, like holistic route, supplements, things like that. The best thing you can honestly do for your pet is to have them crate trained. That provides a safe space for them, a place of security, somewhere they can hunker down and hide. Because 9 times out of 10, that's what they want to do. They're going to stress pace around. They're going to vocalize, such as barking, whining, having a safe place of their own that we are only using for that specific reason of safe place is going to be important, because it allows them that comfortability of I'm okay. But at the same time, if you have to get out of your house quickly, you know exactly where to find your pet. They are in the place in which you left them, and you can actually take them if they're small enough and it's a smaller dog, you pick them up with that carrier and you take it with you. That way it's an easy, quick, way for you to be able to get out of a sticky situation. Other things that you can do if you don't want to try traditional, like chemical management, pharmaceutical management, there are certain medications out there. Benadryl is 50-50 because Benadryl can actually cause the opposite effect, causing hyperexcitability in certain pets versus the stationary side effect. There are specific drugs that are used that I use for my dogs during like 4th of July, January, for, New Year's, then fireworks be going off. They just get so stressed out. So there are chemical products out there, medications that are safe, that have really large safety margin doses that your veterinarian can prescribe to you. I recommend getting those prescriptions a week before the stressful event so you can test it, see how effective it is, get the doses adjusted.
Right. Also, because it can have the opposite effect sometimes too.
Correct.
On some very rare, but I've had some dogs that had an opposite effect and they become more agitated. So it needs to not be the first time you've tried any type. If you go pharmaceutical or if you go oil, it should not be the day of that you're trying to see if it works. Same thing with crate training. Don't try to do it on the day of. Like, you need to kind of start, that'll be, like she said, a week out. And if you're just doing like an hour or 2 hours, you kind of preparing them. It's called storm preparedness for a reason. You're preparing them for what's about to happen, the event that is about to happen. So you want to start as soon as you know that for me, I think it's all a part in just the regular life that you live. Is always going to be some type of events, 4th of July, things that's happening. And you could already have these things as part. You could just call your vet if it's something you normally do for 4th of July. Okay, an event is coming up, a storm. It's already in your file and you can just refill that prescription, or you've already tried it. You've already created. So it's not like the first time you're trying it. So you want to do these things prior to the event.
Yep. So there's also some great pheromone products out there. If you don't want to go with a medication that you have to physically give your pet, there's some really great for cats and for dogs. For dogs, it's called Adapto, and for cats, it's called Feel Away. And they have different pheromones that communicate different things. So for canines, the Adapto pheromone creates that calming sensation of when they were the endorphins they would get from mom. This is a safe place. This is a comfortable place. They've got diffusers, like a Glade plug-in that you can do for a small area room if that's where they're going to be at during the storms. They've got sprays that you can spray on. Glade plug-in, no. That broke my heart up. I'm gonna have to work on that one. Not the Glade plug-in, throw those in the trash. But okay. It's kind of like the idea of how it works, but it's completely unscented. It's just a pheromone that goes out there. There's different products out there now called like Thunder Care. It's another kind of plug-in stuff. And then the cat pheromone is a little bit different as far as how it operates, but they're a pheromone-based product. So it creates a natural chemical reaction when they absorb that pheromone. So that if you wanted to go with something more of like that, or even going with more of the oil-based things, it's figuring out what's going to work best for you and your pet. There's one right way to do it. One size doesn't fit all. So definitely working on that stuff, figuring out what's going to be the best for you and your pet. And you want to try to do that as quickly as possible before the storms are happening, so that way you know how successful it's going to be and you're not stressing out during the storm, which will then cause your pet to stress out as well. Because they'll feed off of that.
Angela, in a normal case, if it's not like a storm where you have to leave your house, but it's just a storm, a lot of people will struggle with like that situation where their baby is like shaking and they just stressed out, the normal human reaction is to kind of coddle and be like, oh, baby, you know, and the
100%.
energy that we the energy that we usually are giving them is stress because we stress that they stress. How do you normally some babies I literally have to crate because they pacing so much that they might hurt themselves trying to get into a place where they, like Sadie, she has to go in a crate because I think that's probably how she ended up the way she is now, is that it's when the storm comes, just hearing like the garbage truck may cause her to, oh my God, they coming and start to like try to hide somewhere and hurt herself. How would you say the best way for them to deal with it if they don't have medication, if they just, it literally is something happening right then? What would you suggest that a parent do in that situation to bring
them
that?
Just like kind of, if they have a crate, try to get them crated into an area that they're going to be more comfortable. Find a small, even if you have to just go with you and your pet into a small room, kind of make it as one, you need to make sure you're managing your stress. So figuring out what's going to help you center yourself.
The main point.
Okay. You can function for your pet. The holding, actually, small dog, big dog, doesn't matter. Sometimes they will try to get as close to you as possible, get up on you. I mean, I got a 150-pound dog who's a gigantic baby. He thinks he's 5 pounds, and he'll climb up on the couch and just try to snuggle. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced panic attacks, like ADHD, kind of overwhelming, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like being overstimulated. Sometimes just getting hugged and feeling that counter pressure can help release a little bit of endorphins. That'll make you more comfortable. They actually manufacture shirts. They're called thunder shirts for dogs that provide a little bit of that compression that you would get from being held. So sometimes something as simple as that. But the biggest thing is going to be is if you can manage your stress, then you can manage their stress.
Then it's those just devices like will work. They will not work if you were stressed out.
Like, you know, when you're on a plane and they're going through like, oh, the exits are this way, this way, and this way. The oxygen mask, put yours on first before helping the next person. That's kind of what it is. You got to make sure that you're going to be okay first. And that way you can be accessible and available to help your pet.
And I've learned in my experience that I'm able to help them more in that situation when I'm calm without any devices. Of course, with some I have to crate and stuff like that, but majority of the times, if I am not stressed, then I can make that for them. But I've also learned over time that you can storm prepare for like the sounds and stuff like that I've shared before, where I'll take them through the car wash. And when all of those sounds, exposure therapy. Is that what it's called, girl? Because I never knew it had a name, but I've been doing it for years. And what I do is I come in with a high energy, so we have excitement about it rather than me being like, oh my God, they're about to stress out and lose their mind. We kind of celebrate the sound. So I'll open the door when it's raining and we're like, oh my gosh, look at the storm. It's so pretty. So instead of being like, oh my God, it's raining, they're finna lose their mind, I don't know what I'm gonna do, we be excited about it. So it's elevated emotions versus lower vibration emotions because they thrive on energy or vibration, which a vibration is. So you can prepare them for like a storm that you would just hunker down for. But I listen to rain and thunder in the house all the time. So it's not like a first time when it happened, like, oh my God, it's thunder. So the little babies know thunder and sound like that from the time that they born until they older, so they don't never respond to it like that. But say we just rescued somebody, and a lot of them, like Edward and Sadie, came in those type of situations. I exposed them to it. I just continue to expose them to that type of sound. But I'm there with you. I'm not like, oh baby, you're gonna be okay. I'm like, you fine, you're okay, you're gonna be okay, we are okay. So you can do that. You can crate and do thunder sounds at the same time and teach them that they are okay in the crate. And I'm here, and you talk them at a calm voice through it.
The biggest key takeaway that we need to make sure we're doing too with the crating is it has to be genuinely used for a place of positivity. We can't use it as a place of punishment and then also expect them to be comfortable during big hurricanes, storms, or even if you're having like a party and guests at your house and your pet gets overwhelmed with that kind of stimulation. It's the same thing. We need to create a safe place for them to be able to go. I know my dogs get overwhelmed when there's too many people in the house because they're used to this being their house. They run this show.
Right.
During those periods of time, the crate is their safe space. Nobody's going to mess with them in there. They're not going to be taunting them through it. We don't use it as a form of punishment when they've done something bad. It's
it is not jail. Exactly. Although if you get in trouble, you need to go to your bed, but it's not like that's the only time that I don't even call it a crate as I'm referring to them as their bed. And so they sleep there. A lot of times I'll start training puppies to eat there. They want to eat, honey child. So I let them eat in their crate. So they associate that with my food be had. So they don't see it as a bad place.
It's positive reinforcement.
You have a professional name for all of the shit that I do that I never had a name for. So I'm gonna have to learn this terminology when I refer to it. I'm like, just okay. So we talked about you had a name for that too. So we talked about the go bag. We talked about dealing in the storms. If we are like hunkered down in our place and we don't have to leave, how do we make it easier for our babies during that time? What else do you think that we need to take away from storm preparedness? How else can we be prepared?
It's something that I think I also need to be working on and better about myself. Know where your damn leashes are. Like,
that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Know where your leashes are, making sure that your collar fits correctly on your pet. Girl, coming to the vet sometimes, I can't tell you how many dogs have slipped out of their collars because they don't want to go into the building or they don't want to go with the technician.
Right.
So making sure you have properly fitted harnesses, properly fitted collars. If anything, keep a slip lead at home. Your vet has probably got a million of them. They're more than welcome to let you keep one. But having an accessible slip lead at home, that way it's not something they can slip out of. It's lightweight. You can fold it up, put it in your go bag, but making sure you know where your collars are, your leashes, your harnesses.
Now, please touch on the slip lead. Is there any way, because we all have Shih Tzus here, and one of the things that we deal with our breed is collapsed trachea. And though anything around the neck is a no-no when you have a Shih Tzu, is there a way to make that as a harness kind of thing? Or can you make sure you explain to people where on the neck that should be? Because the lower part of and then you rushing and you pulling them and that on that trachea can cause a problem. Can you
Yeah, you can actually, give me a second. I'm going to go find my slip lead and I'm going to demonstrate.
Hey, you guys, while she go run and grab that, I just wanted to say hi and thank all you guys for joining us for this. We've been wanting to do this for a while, both of us individually, and we did the post asking you guys if you were interested, and we got a lot of feedback. So the plan in the plan moving forward is we're just going to build a few podcasts that we can share. Probably not always on this page because this is mostly about the rescue babies, about their lives, but we'll probably be sharing it on other platforms like the YouTube channel and other places where you guys can watch the full video. So we'll keep you guys updated on that as we go on. But thank you guys for joining us today. Okay, she's going to show us how to do this slip lead. Our vet have them hanging in there when you first walk into the office. So they're free. You can grab one of them and have, like she say, have it in your purse or in your go bag. Okay, we ready, Angela.
Yeah. So there's two different types. There's the ones that, so this one, oddly enough, is from Northwest.
Northwest Animal Hospital. Yee. Okay, yeah. Shout out.
Most hospitals will have these. They will have their clinic info on it. You can get a huge variety pack off of Amazon. These are the atypical ones. The first thing I want to do is show you guys how to put these correctly because people be putting these up, they'd be setting these up wrong. This metal kind of carabiner type guide does not go through the handle because now this becomes your handle and you got nothing to hold on to.
Right.
Piece
okay.
And the handle come through. So it looks like this. That's how you get the slip lead part. So if you've got, I don't have a Shih Tzu. I don't got a small dog. I got a dinosaur.
Same thing.
So if you've got one of those pets that is an atypical breed for collapsing trachea, or it's just a really bad puller on the leash, and they don't necessarily have collapsing trachea, but we don't want to cause trauma, all you got to do is make this loop big enough. So if this is my Shih Tzu, put it over their head and have it come up under their armpit.
Okay.
And it will still tighten enough that it's not over their neck, pulling trauma to their neck, but it comes up and under that armpit.
Yeah.
So you're putting a bulk of the pressure here along the sternum and the armpit.
Yes.
The other kind, for larger dogs, I would suggest getting a heavier duty leash. So I have dogs ranging from 75 pounds to 150 pounds. So I have the same thing, but it is a thick, almost kind of like lead line horse size. But same thing, it's got the loop.
Yeah.
And it's just denser. We got the handle. So those kind of things, because you can quickly just lasso them and get going.
Literally lasso them, for real. That's literal right there.
Definitely recommend next time you're at your vet, ask if you can get one of the leashes. You can also just buy them online too if you have a preference on the type of material it's made of. I, oddly enough, usually keep one or two of these in my car just for stray animals. If I'm seeing a stray animal walking down the road, I'm gonna try to lasso you. So it's super easy. It's super tiny. You can make it really small. Fit it in your pocket. Put it in your purse. But again, it doesn't take up a lot of space in that bag. It's not going to be super heavy. But having a couple of these around the house, even for cats, you can do the same thing. If you were interested, you can also make these a harness.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is that possible? I mean, of course
it is. So let me see if I can. So this is our dinosaur. Same thing. Take this, put their head over it. You're going to come up underneath of that first arm. So that way it's across the chest. You're going to pull it tight. You're going to take this piece. You're going to do the same thing, but you're going to come underneath.
Yes, Angela.
Across. Bring this back up. You're going to put it back through that metal ring. And now you've got an entire harness.
Yes, that's good. Okay, I've been wanting to know that for about 50 years.
Again, the pressure is going to be on the back. You could even double loop it so that way it actually knots it to where it's in a standard tight position. So that way it won't loosen on its own. But that's how you can make a harness straight up out of one of these leashes. Now, the downside is
add another leash to it to make it longer.
Because you'll end up with a really short handle. So just like you said, put another leash through this loop, and now you've got a full length harness handle.
Yeah, that's good. That was good. Okay, that was good. That right there, I think a lot of us gonna take away from that because.
And you can do it for your cats too. So if you don't got enough kennels for your cats, and I think that's a big thing to touch on too, because it's Tzus and Mews. We've got kitty cats. Big things for your cats. Make sure again you have kennels. But I can't tell you how many owners don't have enough kennels. They don't have a kennel per cat. So that makes it a little harder. Is get them used to wearing a harness. That way in emergent situations, you can harness them up. You can keep them secure because dogs hide, cats run. They will tear off away and go seek shelter somewhere else. We had an issue where a client's kennel fell apart in the parking lot one day, not at Northwest, at a different clinic years ago. Cat went missing. It came in for emergency care, but it was painful. It was scared. The kennel broke apart. The cat took off before the client could get into the building. We spent 2 hours looking for it. Cats are runners. So
that would be a call to Holly. Holly, my cat missing. Can you tell me where he at? Okay, I would have to call Holly on that one. Holly, can you? She did an interview today talking about she could tell you kind of where they at, if they outside or inside somewhere. She can give you an idea. But
so teaching your cats to wear collars or really the harnesses, because that's going to be easier than a collar on a cat. Manufacturing something like that. And I know this is going to sound terrible, but trust me, in a emergency, potentially life or death situation, you have to evacuate quickly and you only have one carrier and 6 cats, a pillowcase is your best friend. Stick that little mother effer in a pillowcase,
How you
loop it, and get into the car.
I'm gonna get Tink in a pillowcase. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. She might have to just. I don't know, girl. I don't know. Tink is wild.
It's worth a shot. It is worth a shot because if you
Should
can
I
get
try
them out
it
of the
before?
house, oof, huh?
Should I try to pillowcase my cats before the actual day?
I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt. That's where some of the like your oils and your pheromone sprays, those things that you can topically apply, not just to the pet, but to the pillowcase.
Oh yes,
might help
okay.
them calm down a little bit. You stick a couple drops in there of any of those products, and that may be helpful.
Right.
Make them a little bit more relaxed. Now, either way, they're gonna hate it. But the minute you can get to safety and shelter, then you let them go. They're going to be stressed. Give them some time to relax, to acclimate is the big thing. But just knowing what your resources are huge. So when you're in a pinch and you got to MacGyver some shit, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. That is really good. So it might be even nice to have pillowcases with your go bag if you have cats, just in case you can't grab your cat or you don't, or like you say, if the kennel break or something like that, that would be scary if you had a hard kennel that broke or they got out of that in the middle of a storm. That would be really stressful. Okay, so
and the other thing too that you can buy from Amazon or buy from your vet is when you know storms are coming up, you can get a $5 cardboard carrier from your vet clinic. More often than not, there may be like $5-10, something like that. You can buy them online, but the nice thing about it being cardboard is, well, over time it will fall apart. You can collapse it and just slide it. It's thin, it slides, and it works great for cats, dogs, exotics, small little things. So getting a couple of those, if you know you've got 6 cats in one carrier and you don't got space for 6 carriers, having those, like we used them. So at Gulf Coast, I was working at Gulf Coast Specialty Hospital here in Houston in 2020 when we had the freeze. We lost power, our generator ran out of gas. We had to evacuate all the animals that were there. So we were finding anything that we could out of the hospital, and we were transporting them to Sugarland, Pearland, different places that still had power. If you can imagine, maybe 30 something plus animals, we don't have 30 something plus carriers. So without those cardboard carriers that we had at the clinic, we were able to safely evacuate every pet out of that building and get them. And we've actually had to evacuate twice now. The entire time I was there, we had collapsible carriers. We were able to quickly, and it takes all of just a couple seconds to pop it open, fold everything in, put the animal in, and get out. We were able to do that within a half an hour, get everybody safely out of that clinic.
Wow. Yeah, that's a huge one. That's good. I think I might have to get a few of those for the cats we have living here too, just to have. And in your car, if you use your car to get away, in the littles, it would be nice to just have that bag already in the car, have a go bag in your car, and then having one in case you can't get in the car and you have to be evacuated. Man, they're having to come get you. It would be nice to have it already in your car. So that if you had to really, really hurry up and just go, it's there. That's some good information. You have anything else you want to add to so we got the go bag, we have the plan. What else should we know to be prepared for a storm?
Know your hotels in your area and who accepts pets and doesn't. Last thing you want to do is show up to a hotel and they're like, well, your pet can't come in. So figuring out kind of your radius of if you were to evacuate, where would you go? Do they allow pets or not? Knowing where your evacuation zones are for the counties in which you live in. I'm not quite sure so much about that in the Texas, Houston area, but in California, because we were having to evacuate so often, we knew where we would go. And typically they're going to be large areas. They're going to be fairgrounds. They're going to be airports. They're going to be like sports arenas, those kind of things. That way they can house large amounts of people at a time. So having that information, figuring out if you had to go somewhere, where would that be? Making sure you can get the understanding if they accept pets or not. Sometimes hotels will be lenient on the pet rule or not, depending on the circumstances, but we can't always guarantee that. Can't always guarantee it because, at the end of the day, the company's going to do what the company's going to do. So knowing what you have available to you when it comes to that. The other thing too is knowing if you can't take your pet with you, to have a backup plan. Do you have somebody who, like a boarding facility that's going to be accessible, kind of figuring out what their requirements are in the event that you do need to board your pet? What kind of vaccines do they require? Making sure those are current. As well as just kind of asking them. And I think the most important thing that we forget is during these big events and the power goes out, what is their protocol if something happens? So did they have a backup generator? Do they have a way for people to still take care of their pets? Because what we want is for you to be boarding your pet and then all of a sudden nobody can get to those animals or they run out of power. What does that look like for them? So that way you can make the safest and best decision.
Yeah, that would be scary. So wow, that was some good information, Angelina, Louise, Anne Marie. That was really good. That was really, really good. I feel like I learned so much from this conversation, even though we talked before. I still feel like I learned so much. Are there any specific questions that you guys have that we may not have touched on before we and did we get all the questions in the comments? So yes, I wanted to say, remember to register your microchip. That was one big one for me. And making sure that your baby is up to date on vaccines in case you had to board or they had to go somewhere else, having those records on you and on your phone. I think another nugget you gave was saving our pets' information in our phones with their microchip and picture and vet information. That was a really good one too. All of this was really good. Okay, well, it don't look like we have any more questions. Anything you wanted to add to this before we end the live, Angela?
No, but thank you guys for watching.
Are you on Facebook or only on TikTok? Where can they find you?
I'm on. Yeah, so I am on Facebook and TikTok. I'm more active on TikTok with like posting stuff and answering people's questions if they've got something. Usually my Facebook is just more like for updating family. I'm still like an old lady. I miss my MySpace days, but
you didn't. She said MySpace.
I would
so what's the name on TikTok?
More frequently on TikTok. Oh gosh, these days I don't even remember. I think it's Angela the Mobile Vet Tech because I just be bouncing from place to place and working anywhere and everywhere that'll have me.
You guys can find her on TikTok as Angela the Mobile Vet Tech. I've posted some videos from her earlier today, so you guys can go follow her there. And if you have any questions directly, but we'll continue to do these podcasts. If you have any additional like these type of topics that you would like for us to talk about, we plan on doing more of these. We would try to do them public generally, but if it's more personal questions that we will be talking about, then we would do those in the subscriber side. So submit your questions. We'll repost the Google podcast summary sheet so you guys can continue to add questions to that, and we'll continue to work down the list as we can to get those questions answered. So thank you guys for joining us today. This was great, Angela. I appreciate you doing this with us. We'll see you guys next time on another podcast. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.